Never alone, family. You're never alone.
The power of consent.
Let's get into it. Our sister Charmine here. Let's bring it in. I see you. I'm gonna.
The power of consent.
We're gonna have a question and answer session afterwards.
The power of consent.
That's who we are. You're locked in. Charmaine Simpson, where you at, sister?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Got you, sister.
The power of
All
consent.
right, that's who we are. The power of consent. Come on now. Come on. So, sister, are you on camera? Are you on camera?
Can be on camera.
Huh?
I'm here.
There you are. Yes, beloved. Good to see you, Queen. Good to see you, sister. So,
Hello.
welcome,
Greetings.
welcome, welcome. Greetings, greetings, greetings. This sister, this queen here, I spoke to the sister. And sister, you know, after we've been reading the book, The Living Trust, I said, sis, we need you on, man. We need you on, and the great sister that is coming on as well. And let me tell you about our good sister here. Sister Charmaine Simpson is an award-winning, you know. Hey, are you listening, family? Award-winning financial educator dedicated to helping individuals, families, and young people build confidence with money, develop healthy financial habits, and achieve long-term financial well-being. And we're going to post her bio in the chat. Please, 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 family, let's give a warm welcome by putting some ones in the chat for Charmaine Simpson and the good sister coming on as well. Please go ahead, sister. The floor is all yours. Let me make you a co-host, and the floor is all yours.
Excellent. So I wasn't going to deliver a presentation, but I was going to speak. I'm just, before I even speak, I'd just like to say a big thank you for inviting me onto this platform as well. When you spoke to me and you said that you were reading books on trust, I was so excited. Why was I so excited? Because the reason why I became a financial educator, a licensed FCA regulated financial educator about 9 years ago, because I realized that our community is not getting this information. No one is teaching us about money management. We go through school, go to college, and no one is teaching us money management unless you're privileged to have a parent that will sit you down and say, read this book or go and do this course. A lot of our parents didn't teach us about money management, even having a conversation about assets and liabilities. How many of us on this platform right now had parents that would sit us down and talk about assets and liabilities? Now, I'm put it in the chat box, yes or no. Now, we can't blame our parents, because if our parents weren't taught, they can't teach. Yeah. So if you weren't taught, you cannot teach. And I say this all the time. We need to dedicate ourselves to learn about money. And we need to get out of this notion that money is the root of all evil. A lot of us believe that nonsense, that money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. And we will tell ourselves this lie while every other community is learning about money, investing and saving their money and exceeding, because we believe the lie. And we need to be able to educate ourselves about finances. So one of the reasons why I dedicate myself and dedicate my life to teaching finances, and I do this via webinars that are free, because I realize that there's things that we need to do in our community that we're not doing. We're talking about trusts. We need to go, before we start talking about trusts, okay? We need to be thinking about money management. How do we manage our money? What do we do with our money once we receive it? Okay. Do we have an estate to actually manage? Yeah. Do we have assets that should form a trust? Because not everybody needs a trust, but everybody needs a will. Okay. So even though we're talking about managing our trust, has everybody written a will? Because that's very important. And when I speak to my community about writing a will, they think that, oh, if they write a will, they're going to drop down dead. As soon as the ink dries or their pen lifts up from their signature, they're going to drop down dead. And we need to come out of this superstition that you're going to die if you write a will. No, wills should be written, and you should be updating your will. And we should invest in writing a will. The amount of times that people come to me and say, Charmaine, I want a will, and then they find out how much the cost and they start complaining about the cost. They don't want to invest in their estate. But then what happens is they don't get their estate planning in place. when they pass away, their family's left with the left to pick up the pieces. Now I know the problems that happens when your parent dies without a will. My mum, she died 3 years ago from lung cancer. It's not that she didn't want to write a will. Every time we was trying to get her to sign the will, she was too ill and too sick to sign the will. And unfortunately, she died without signing the will. Now, if it wasn't for the lady I'm going to introduce you to, Sameena, I don't even know what I would have done. I remember sitting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, completing this 30-page document to go through probate, to also get the certificate of administration so I can manage my mother's affairs. It was tough. You're dealing with a lost loved one, and now you've got to do this 30-page document, which you have no clue how to write. And this is what can happen. And also, when you don't die without a will, it holds up the process of you getting an estate if there's an estate to receive. Life insurance. How many of us on this webinar right now have got life insurance?
Yep.
I'll ask that question. Yeah. If we're talking about generating wealth and assets and generational wealth, everybody should have life insurance. Yeah. This is the easiest way to generate wealth into your family when you're no longer here. Okay. You may not have raised £500,000 in your lifetime, but you can inject £500,000 if you're willing to invest in life insurance. Okay, you can do that. And I teach in my financial planning, I show families how to do that. I show you which is the best policies to get, and I go through that process with families. And I know from since doing this work for about 9 years, I've injected £76 million worth of life insurance into our community. I can actually say that. Yeah. So these are the things that we do. And it's so important that we start thinking about these things. And that's why I love the fact that you're doing this book club. I love the fact that you're educating people about trust, because a lot of people don't know this information. Even lasting power of attorney, that's another area that people don't know. That's another conversation. We'll come back for another book club because we need to learn this. So it's so important that we look at our assets. So we know, look at our money management, looking at our finances, learning how money works, and also start thinking about how we protect our assets once we accumulate them. So that is writing a will, writing a trust. And even when you get your life insurance, have you put that into trust as well? That's a big thing a lot of people don't do. And this is why I love Sister Sameena. Sister Sameena is my ride or die sister. I work with her all the time within estate planning. I'm going to introduce her to her. She's absolutely amazing. She works with National Wills team, and we work together closely in helping families with estate planning. And I say to people all the time, we need to start investing in knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Come on.
Yeah. But knowledge is power with action. Because a lot of people come to my events, or they go to events, or come to this book club and get the information and feel nice. But are you actually going to take action with the information that you learn? Are you going to tell your friends and family? Are you going to get your family together and say, who in our family's got the will? Uncle, have you got a will? Your parents, go to your parents and ask them if they've got a will.
Sister, you got.
Do you have life insurance for your parents? Because when they pass, somebody's going to have to pay for that funeral. Somebody's going to have to cover that mortgage that's not paid. Somebody's going to have to inject wealth into the family. I pay for life insurance policies for my father because I already know my family think my name is Santander and NatWest combined. So when he passes, I know my family's going to be looking to me to bury him. I pay for life insurance for him because I know that cost is going to come to me. We can do that. Yeah, yes. Invest in our parents, invest in ourselves as well. So, Sister Sameena, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Good
evening.
Can you hear me?
Thank you so much for letting me come on board and come and have a chat. Charmaine just said to me, come along. So thank you, Charmaine, as well for the introduction. It's great to be here. Love the slides and the introduction and everything that you've done so far. It's brilliant. It's very, very good. So I don't know how this seminar is going to go along, but if anyone wants to ask me questions, I mean, I've been doing this. I started off in my younger years. I was doing all different areas of law. I've come back into this field because I think there's a big need. Working with Charmaine is brilliant because I can see that the community doesn't have, they're not getting advice. It's fantastic. You've got these books, people are watching TikTok videos, Instagram, getting advice from these places and doing the wrong things. And you can see a lot of people are getting themselves into trouble. And the only people that benefited at the moment are solicitors. Families are now being torn apart. And it's really interesting to see the way the dynamics have changed in the family structure.
Christy,
And,
can you hear me?
and that's why it's really important. And myself, I've been, like I said, I've been doing this I've come back into it over a decade, and I can see the difference in the way families have changed, and also the way trusts are being used. Trusts are not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
I
can.
can hear you just about.
Sorry, sis. Sorry, I just wanted to check something.
Can
Can
you
you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a bit of an echo, but we can hear you.
All
All
good.
good. Okay, I'll sort that out.
Right.
Right.
Bit of echo, I know. Okay, I'll sort that. So, sister, real quick,
Yeah.
you made a good
Good point. One second. Let me just get rid of this.
You made a good point regarding our families not knowing. I want everyone in the chat, share this Zoom link with your father, your uncle, your brother, your sister, your mother.
Yeah.
It's not too late to learn.
Mm.
It's not too late to learn. This is free game, free information we're getting here.
Mhm.
Do not let this opportunity go by. Yes, you can go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Power of Consent, to watch this again. Some of it will go on YouTube, not all. But
Mhm.
not to get in the way of Sister Sameena. Thank you. Welcome to Sister Charmine and Sister Sameena.
Yes.
We'll be going into trusts. Sister, I've shared I made you co-host, Sister Sameena. So if you want to share anything, you can, or is it
Mm.
any way you want to present? It's all yours.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got PowerPoint. I'm open to any questions. I mean, I want to get any questions, we can talk about. I mean, also even go back into the book, and has anyone got any questions about the book and what they feel about trust? I mean, you've done quite a good presentation so far.
Yeah.
It's excellent what you've done. Not quite, it's very good. You've approached the subject head on. I think it's so important that people are aware that they're told to go for trust. Like, the book is more US based and UK based as well.
Yeah.
Remember, it's slight difference.
The power of
It's really important that you get the right advice, because having lifetime trust in your lifetime is so important that a lot of people don't understand it. They think they can. Remember, when you get advice, there's different types of advice. You can, it's not just solicitors, it could be accountants, and there are lots of other people that do give the advice. So you have to be very careful when you're setting up a trust that you don't cause problems, because you're not going to be here to deal with it when you're your beneficiaries. So having trust, it's like a business. You have to pay tax, you have to register them. The laws are changing. We have to be very careful how we give advice, and not everyone is qualified to do so.
Right.
You may find that you might have to do lifetime planning different from death planning, because not everyone knows both, and they can overlap, and they can be quite difficult. So there's a question on there.
Right. So let's go with the questions. We're going to get straight into the questions.
Yeah.
First question, and that question is, you said you have to register a trust.
Yeah. They've started, depends on the amount. Like you were talking about, we all should get trusts. Yes, and I agree with you. We should also get like there's different types of trusts where you can put property into a trust, or you can have one for your just cash, money for cash. So that's cool. That's a good one as well. Having a bank account. So there are banks that have trust accounts. So you can open one and have that as a family trust as well. So you can put things in there. Trusts are not expensive, but they can be if you don't do them correctly. I know that the book Living Trust, it gives a confidence what trustees are, what beneficiaries are, what their roles are, but the laws are quite draconian as well. And you have to be very careful when you set up a lifetime trust that you do it correctly, because after death you will pay more. It can trigger IHT between husband and wife, married couples. There's no tax. After that, it's a free fall. It really is really
40%.
important.
Right. Okay. So we have a question there. I want anyone that's got a question, because we're going to get straight to the question. Put your hand up. But ZG, don't put no questions in the chat, people. Don't do that. Put your hand up kindly. One question from ZG. What is the cost of taking a private trust where you want to put property into a trust? And remember what the definition of property is, by the way. A lot of people think it's just a house. But yeah, that's the question there in the chat, Sister Sameena.
So private trust with public trusts have to pay maintenance. All trusts have to pay some form of maintenance. depending how much you put into there will depend on how much you have to pay. Remember, it's like a business. You do have to have trustees meetings. You have to pay for everything. You do have to, if you don't do those correctly, you could end up losing your house. I have got clients that set up trust that wasn't done correctly. They end up losing their properties and they had to sell it because it wasn't done correctly. There will always be some sort of maintenance, depending on the type of trust that you have as well. I mean, some of the questions that you will ask, it will require looking at the paperwork in detail, because remember, every trust is bespoke to a certain degree. So there might be something what you've written will be different from what someone else has. It may not be the same thing. I know that might be like a standard answer, but sometimes you do have to look. You can have each trust bespoke. With regards to like I've mentioned, you do need to have accountants also to kind of look at the accounts, the trustee accounts every year. So there's a lot more work and money involved than people realize. As Charmaine said, you've got to have money to go into it. Like, for example, I'm going to give you another example, which is quite interesting with the life insurance. Life insurance companies have their own trust forms, which is better to use because, if you draft your own, you can get yourself in trouble in terms of the beneficiary won't get the payout, and there's all sorts of things that can happen. That form is free on the website, on each life insurance policy form, and that's a trust form. You've effectively set up a trust by going, obviously you have to pay for the advice, and that could be minimum. And then what you can do is set up your family has a trust. So you can have a trust for your life insurance. When you put that into trust, that's not going to be taxed. Then you can have trust in your wills, and lifetime planning as well. So there are different ways and it doesn't have to cost too much. It's looking at what you've got and to be really realistic. A lot of people don't understand revocable, irrevocable, lifetime, and this living trust. And there's all these words that go around, and they're all kind of commercial words. Living trust is bare trust, lifetime trust, and discretionary trust. Those are the main trusts that you have. So those are the ones that you need to focus on. Each case is individual. It's really important that you really look at what you have and think, well, do I really want to spend a lot of money into setting up that trust, put the property into trust when it may not even go through inheritance tax? So you might have I've got clients that set up trusts and their trust, there was no inheritance tax. So why were they setting it up? It doesn't make any sense. And you're being charged £3,000-4,000. And it's true with regards to the lenders. Not all lenders allow it as well, but again, that's something to go into more detail. You have to look at the value of the property, who are the beneficiaries, who's the settlor. There's lots of things that you need to look into.
Okay.
So yeah, the life insurance ones is a really, really interesting one, because if you put your life insurance into trust, it's not going to be taxed. As Charmaine might say, there's lots of people out there who take several life insurance policies. Where one client wanted to buy a property for his children, 4 children, he wanted to divide it. Why not take a life insurance policy of 500,000, get the children to pay for it? And that's on death, that's going to be them. You don't have to worry about buying and selling a property, capital gains, all these things going for inheritance. Just put a life insurance policy and it's going to go to them.
Right. Okay. Cool. So we have a question from Pauline. Pauline, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Pauline.
Grand Risings. Actually, she's answered what I was going to ask, because I've been looking at trust for 2 years, and I know that it's the government, because they know people of our stature now, not rich, but now we've cottoned on to what's going on and taking action. Now lots of rules are changing up to try and prevent us from getting that benefit of those type of things. So to me now, I've been looking at it for 2 years and thinking, well, you got to have money. And I've been trying to encourage my 2 sons to help me do a life insurance. We bought 3 of us but these young people. I've got to keep talking to them and hope that they will see the benefit of it and start putting towards, taking one out with me. And we 3 of us I yield the floor.
That's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Look at Martin Lewis. Martin Lewis he was talking about life insurance policies. Recently put, it's good to get life insurance policies. And I thought that's really interesting. He's mentioned that. One of the firms that I worked for, they've been established for 30 years. They're still around. They dealt with a lot of St. James's client. And most of them took out life insurance policies of $1 million, standard $1 million.
Yep.
That's all tax-free. People don't realize that if you take a life insurance policy and you don't put it into trust, for example, if someone took a life insurance policy for £400,000, they have no other assets as property, and no property, nothing, just that's 400,000, that's what they've got. If they don't put that in trust, they could be potentially taxed £30,000.
Wow.
So these are the kind of things that people are not realizing. And also that is considered as an investment. So if that person is on any DWP, any benefits whatsoever, then they can go after them too. So this is not what people are being told, and it's so easy, and it's frustrating that solicitors out there and lots of people don't look at life insurance, putting it into trust as part of their estate planning, basic. So even so when you set up a trust, that's one trust already set up for your beneficiaries. It could be anyone. That's one trust. So you haven't paid that much. You spent all your life paying into that, and that's it. And that's really important. So, I mean, people don't realize they start gifting things out. You never give things out to some outright. You never give things out to children outright, and especially you want to make sure that when you gift it, there's that element of protection. But then again, it's like you can't benefit from it. Again, people are not realizing they cannot benefit from it in any shape or form. No rental income, they can't stay there, all of that stuff. And they have to pay market value rent. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to put it into trust, and then they end up paying their children the rental income or what, the market value. What was the point? You spent all your life doing that for what? So trust, every case is individual, and really and truly, I mean, it's a good thing having a trust if you've got like money, but again, the money, if you have several trusts, but it has to be at a certain amount, and the laws are changing. And Pauline, you're so right, they're changing overnight, and people don't have a chance to kind of, to actually move money around or change things. So yeah. Sorry, Charmaine, you're on mute, Charmaine, sorry.
And now they're restricting how you the amount of money that you can move.
Yeah.
And these are the things that especially with the life insurance, there's a lot of people that have life insurance but haven't got the right type of policy. They go to companies that there's no guaranteed in payout rates, because I do policies, I'll take out a policy and somebody will go, oh, I've gone with this company because it's cheaper. Cheaper is not always good, because that company has a payout rate of 40%, whereas the company we work with have a payout rate of 98%. So be careful who you're going with. And not all life insurance policies are equal. So, and you have to know what exactly you're using it for. As I am a financial educator, we go through a calculation of how we work out how much protection policies people need and what you can cover within your protection policies. These are so important that we need to educate our community about, because they don't have it. They don't have this knowledge because no one is teaching us. And there are many financial advisors out there that can give this information, but you have to pay at least £300 or £1,000 just to have a conversation with them. Right. And if you don't have £100,000, £50,000 in your bank account, they ain't speaking to you. So these are the things that we have to do, is going out into the community, and speaking about this area. So important.
Yes. So how much is it to start a trust?
It depends on what you want to put into that trust as well. Yeah. Like a discretionary trust. So it depends on what is your goal. You have some people who want to put properties into trust because they want to give it outright to their children. So that's fine. That's okay to do that. But depending on the amount of assets that you have in there, obviously there's an entry and exit charges, and it's a 10-year rule. But again, it depends on what asset and how much you're going to put it in there. So right. If you've got sometimes, like, I had a client that was inheriting money from her mum. It was £40,000, wasn't life-changing, but she was on benefits. So we set up a trust, but lifetime trust for her, so that the money can go in there. So she can access the money. It was for her and her daughters and her grandchildren. So that worked out well because it wasn't too much. It was below the certain threshold. And again, it varies and it depends on what you want to do and who it is. There are charges, like with everything. Unfortunately, you will have to. It's like an account. It's like a company. You have to kind of declare what you have and what you're going to do as well. So you have to be careful how you set it up. And sorry.
You have to declare. You said you have to
You have
declare.
to be careful how you set it up and you get the advice at the time. And accountants are the best ones sometimes when it comes to certain things like this. It's quite important. They are quite good at actually finding out what's the best way to kind of minimize the costs that you will have to pay during your lifetime. That's quite important.
Got you. So what exactly is your job title, if you don't mind us
Oh,
asking?
so I deal with wills. I deal with wills and trusts. So and lasting power of attorney, and obviously estate planning.
Right.
So I do like a lot of my clients. So I just have to mention about business. A lot of people have businesses. You know that you can have a business property relief trust. I mean, the law has changed again. So if you have those in your will. Before it was like tax free, you had that, it was tax free. Now they've capped it at 1 million. So the trust, anything over 1 million will be taxed at 20%. So again, you have to keep an eye on things. You have to keep an eye on things. I deal with a lot of will trusts. That's what I specialize in will trusts. Lifetime planning, I normally refer it on to my colleague. But with the lifetime planning, again, I give some advice because not everyone, because when they watch a TikTok video or Instagram, they're like, oh, we need to put a living trust, having this, what's the best way? Not realizing that it doesn't, that may not be the best thing for them, not because of the finances, it just might not be financially, and it could trigger off inheritance tax, which you don't want it to do. Trusts are there to protect you and to reduce your inheritance tax, but not done correctly, they will increase it. And a lot of people end up closing the trust. It's supposed to last for 125 years, as you know, but they're gone in one generation. That's not the way it should be.
There's
So
a lot of questions in the chat, and I don't know why people are bashful about unmuting themselves. Family, this information that you're getting, we're going to close that soon, is something, as Sister Charmaine said, you would have to pay an arm and a leg for. Don't be bashful. I mean, I see we're very British.
I got my hands up. I ain't got no problem asking.
All right, I didn't see your hand up. Oh, is that Marcia?
Yes, it's me.
Marcia, go on. Go ahead with your question.
Hey, bro. All right, thank you. All right, so my setup is I want to utilize a trust for my daughter's charity for her future children and the next children down the line, as well as property, and setting up very strategically smart business, like non-trading companies, to be able to work that way.
Okay, charities are slightly different. It depends on have you set the charity up already?
It was registered, it's been deregistered, and I'm setting it up in the best way I know how to, with the best education this year.
So with the best
education, yeah, I'm trying to get the best way to set it up going forward, because CICs don't seem to get as much funding no more. CIOs are a particular structure, and I just kind of want to utilize things in the best way forward. It's actually our 20-year anniversary, and I really want to set it up where we're kind of grown up now and know how to do big things.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's I mean, again, charities are slightly different. I mean, you can, like, it'd be worth having a look at the different types. I mean, do you know what charity? Is it going to be in the UK? Is it going to be overseas?
It's going to be set up here, and we have a different branch overseas.
Why was it decommissioned before?
It wasn't decommissioned, it was closed down when I was getting a divorce.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, yes, I mean, setting up charities and having it in a trust, there again, you have to look at what's the best way, because some of them are quite strict, as you know, and you've probably done a lot of research, and it has changed over the years as well.
Yes,
a lot.
That part do know.
Yeah. That's what I'm just trying to work out, what the best way for charities is. I mean,
it's probably going to be under a CIO more than definitely never going to be a CIC.
Yeah, I understand. Again, I mean, if you wanted to contact, I mean, I'm not sure if you wanted to contact Charmaine and then the brother, and we can like kind of, I can talk to you more about that. I would need to find out more about the charities because it's slightly different. There are very good ways of structuring it, but you have to do it in a way that it doesn't come back on yourself, and then you end up like kind of being liable for other people's money as well, public money, and depending how the charity is and what your statement's going to be. So it would be that it will rely heavily on how you set it up. And
I think I know there's the foundations. You can set up foundations.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Charmaine, definitely with some planting, we can meet up and talk.
Yeah, no, definitely. Foundations are a good way to go forward, but again, it depends on what your charity is more about and in more detail, and that's quite important. How much funding and what to do and what's the best way going forward. Because remember, there was a time when everyone opened up charities and they're just writing things off, so they've become quite strict with that. So again, I don't want to say to you, oh yeah, I know how you would do that way, and it might be incorrect. So we need to, I would need to sit down a little bit more information charities, because charities are the ones that are very, very strict. They will come after you, take everything, as you know. Even if you name a charity in the will, sorry, I'm going to have to say this as well. Like, for example, if you name a charity in a will, and if you put a percentage down to a charity, they would want to know everything you're doing in terms of probate. So if they find that you've got an extra like flowers, why did you do that? So it's always best when you give to charities in a will, it's always good to have like an amount than having percentage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because things like that. So I just had that was I thought I just mentioned that if someone else is in the chat thinking about doing that too.
All right, thank you very much.
Paulette, is that Paulette again? Those who've got their hands up will get the prize.
Yes. Right. My question is it worth putting my property into a trust for my grandchildren? My grandchildren are 10 and 16. So rather than giving it, I mean, because obviously it will in my will, it will go to my children, but would it be better to skip the children and go straight to the grandchildren?
So is that you're talking about in your lifetime or in your will?
Oh no. Oh, not in my lifetime, because I know as you said, I wouldn't be able to live it, and it gets very complicated.
It does, yeah. Unless you've got the monies to kind of give it outright in a discretionary trust and it's fine, you're not going to benefit from it, then yes, then that's good. With regards to, yeah, you can do that, of course. It's your will, you have testamentary freedom. Have you got a discretionary trust will, or what do you have?
I've just got a will at the moment. I haven't put my will in trust. I've put my life insurance in trust.
Good, that's good.
But I didn't know that you could put your will in trust.
So look, so what you have, so when you have a will, so you have a normal document, and you can have in your will, you can have a trust. So you have the clause whereby you can have a discretionary trust, life interest, property trust, bare trust. You can have different types of trusts. So if you want to leave the property to your children, grandchildren, you can do that. That's not going to be an issue. It's always good to write in, like, you have a memorandum of wishes. In the memorandum of wishes, you explain why you've given it to the grandchildren, not to the children, so they don't get left out. So there's lots of things that you can do. People don't realize that you can have like all your documents, all your wishes. You can give them your grandchildren, no problem. Because your adult children, if they're not benefiting and they're not living with you, then that shouldn't be an issue. You can leave it to your grandchildren. That's not going to be an issue at all. But it's always good to have a discretionary trust, because when you're in your lifetime, you can update your will instead of having a straightforward will. And every time you make changes, you have to write a new will. If you take a trust will, then you have the flexibility to change the percentages and what child gets what, so what beneficiary gets some, the percentages, and you can change that. So if you want to leave it to your grandchildren, that's not going to be an issue. If you're not if you don't have any children living with you, because there could be an issue there. If you're not having any children living with you, and also if they're not dependent, because they might want to make a claim, but you can leave it to your grandchildren. There shouldn't be any issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's helpful.
And they'll also qualify, because when you leave property to children, you have as an individual, you have 325,000. And when you leave it to children, you have the additional 175,000 at the moment, because You know, the inheritance tax is frozen to 2027, but we'll see. So you have anything over 500,000 we tax at 40%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and if you put it into trust, there will be inheritance tax, but it's not going to be payable outright. And you have the entry and exit charges, and it's 0.6%, 6% every 10 year.
Sorry, that was 60%?
0.6%.
Oh, 0.6% every
it's
10 years.
So every 10 years it's 6%. But a lot of people, what they do, sometimes they set up a trust, and when they have to pay that 6%, they close it and open another one. So it's interesting. But again, we don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It's always that's why you look in your will. It says, oh, in regulation to steps. So you know, we don't write down all the powers what trustees have, but you try your best to give that flexibility as well. So yeah,
Okay.
again, it's always good when you write a will, it's always important, whoever writes your will, wherever you get your will written, to go through the clauses and to introduce your children to go through the clauses, and because they're going to be the beneficiaries or executors or trustees. And that's really important.
Right, okay. All right, thanks very much. That's been really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, everyone understands what our beneficiary, executor, trustee, these terms mean. If you don't, then just go to our YouTube channel and you will see what it means. We go into the definitions because we read the book. Now, Sister Love, Sister Love just read completed a book as well. Sister Love, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself? Because I know you got a good question. So a sister said that she can't unmute herself because she's putting the little ones to bed. And I said, boy, that's some talent there. You must be using one hand to type and the other hand to put the children to bed. Shout out to the mothers. Sister Love, go on and mute yourself. Don't be shy. You're doing some big acting work on Saturday, man. What are you dealing with? And ZG, you have a lot of questions, but you're not unmuting. I don't know what's happening there with you folks. We've got a couple of minutes left. We have our good sister, friend, Charmaine and Samina here, giving free game. Free game. Folks, come on. Come on now. Don't be bashful. You're back and forth. Okay, Sister Love is back and forth with the children. ZG, can you post your YouTube channel? It's the Power of Consent. Mods, if you can do that. Yeah, go ahead, ZG. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. I'm actually new. It's my first time on this link. And yes, I have a lot of questions. I wasn't sure how you managed that. But my question is, and my first question was, and great show, by the way, for everybody. I've heard about private trusts, sovereign, and also public trusts. And I was always told to take out a private trust. If you want to remain in the private, then nobody can actually touch you. This is what I've heard. But also I appreciate, Sameena, what you're talking about in terms of you could actually lose your house. So you need to know what you're doing and what you're actually talking about when you go down that line. And the other one was really the cost of a trust. I know you said that it depends on what type of trust they are. But I've heard anything from 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. But I think this was more about property. And the main reason why I mentioned that was because, for example, if somebody had to go to a care home, they could lose their property. So people have been told to put it in a trust. And so I just wondered what your thoughts on that. But great event, great show tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I'll address the care home one because that's a really big area at the moment. I don't deal with like the Office of Public Gardens. That's something which people who don't have LPAs, but I've started doing some pro bono work because I like to see what happens when things go wrong. And you're right, a lot of people are losing their properties when they're not into trust. One way to avoid losing the property when someone goes into a care home is to have LPAs, because lasting power of attorneys actually are in your lifetime, and that can, if you've got an attorney that can override them, you put them into a care home, because then it's better. You can outweigh whether going to a care home or having 24-hour care at home. What's better? So that's one thing to do, is make sure that you have lasting power of attorneys. That's a really big area at the moment. Please, everyone, whoever's over 18 should have an LPA. That's quite standard. In terms of putting your property into a trust or changing from joint tenancy to tenancy in common, you have to be aware that the council or the authority can go back 5 years, even more, if they feel that you've done it to kind of avoid care home fees. So when you see all these solicitors and all these places that advertising or avoid care home fees, do this, do that, you have to be very careful because the authority can go back. And if they see that you've done that on purpose, they will be liable to pay for the full care fees. That's another thing as well, which is quite interesting. But definitely LPAs is a very good way of kind of avoiding your home going to the wrong hands as well. And that's important. I'm
Wow.
not sure if that answers your question. I'm sorry, because yeah.
I think that's brilliant. So we've actually got lasting power of attorney. So that I didn't realize. So if we have that out, nobody can touch the house. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because look, if you say to them no, because you have both for your financial and for the health. Some people are a bit naughty. When the children have only just for their financial, but what about the health? Because what happens? And people don't realize. I'm going to share this because I was really shocked. Like I said, I've started doing the pro bono because I want to see what happens when it goes wrong. People don't realize that even if you don't have an LPA and you're unfortunately someone your loved one goes into a care home and you're trying to fight them going for the Office of Public Guardians, trying to get it can cost between £3,500 to £10,000. But you can apply for appointeeship. You can contact the DWP and then the money will go, their benefit money will go to you or whoever you're applying on behalf of. It will go and so the care home won't get that money. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it does make a difference. So these are little things like that they don't, no one tells you about, but it's so expensive once it happens. But to really afford care homes, like for example, I would never advise to put your children onto your house. I'm so sorry. Do not put your children onto your property because you don't know what's going to happen with them. As I said, over the last 10 years, I have seen the changes when I went back into doing, wills and when I was younger, and it doesn't matter whether you have children or not, children can be quite, they will throw you out. So you have to be very, very careful giving your children that control because if God forbid, if they got into a situation and they got divorced, and that will go, your house is up for grabs. Right. So you got to remember that, number one. And also what happens to grandchildren? They say, oh no, we don't want grandpa, grandma in there. They'll throw you out. What are you going to do? So you need to have, like, for example, you've got a husband and wife, and they want to make sure that the surviving spouse is going to live in the property and after they're gone. So you have it tenancy in common, not joint tenancy, because joint tenancy goes to survivor, tenancy in common. So you have a life property interest trust, life interest property trust, which allows the surviving spouse to live in the property with conditions attached. You can say certain things like, for example, if the surviving spouse remarries, cohabits, goes into a care home, move overseas, passes away, then it will revert back to the children or whoever the beneficiary has in equal shares. And I mean, you might laugh and think, oh, and if they remarry, because when someone remarried, you can't expect when you pass away that the surviving spouse may remarry. But if they do remarry, the new spouse gets the property. So it's all very well having a straightforward will and giving it to the surviving spouse, not realizing that they could get married and then your children get nothing. And then you have blended families. There's so many things there's so many individual things to think about. It's just having a conversation and and really sitting down and being realistic and truly, because a lot of people I come across with so many people that've got properties in joint names, which is great, but it's Russian roulette. Whoever dies, the survivor gets everything. And I don't know why solicitors don't give the advice at the time. You should have it in, tenancy in common, because then you own it 50-50, you're going to grow, then you both have equal shares, then you can put your share into a trust. And there's lots of interesting things that you can do with trust.
I'll stand down now to give somebody else a chance, but that was excellent. I'll definitely be in touch with you and Charmaine anyway, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So, questions. Questions? Anyone with their hand up? Go ahead and just unmute yourself, because I'm not
I
really.
was just gonna make a comment as well. So if you really love the information that's shared today, and you've got family members that need to hear this, family members that are not on here, parents, uncles, family members that you know when they pass away, it's going to cause a lot of issues, please get in contact with us, me and Samina. Because we deal with the negatives. Sometimes we deal with some of the horror stories when it comes to this not getting our state affairs in order. Please get in contact with us. It's so important. Do not wait until a loved one loses capacity and then start thinking about lasting power of attorney. By that time, it could be too late. You need to get lasting power of attorney before anything happens. Because I think there's about, correct me if it's about 12 weeks or 6 weeks waiting time for you to actually get the document when you complete those forms. And it's so important that you have this. I can give an example why lasting power of attorney is important. I'm a carer for my sister. Okay. And my sister was in hospital, and a certain council in East London took my sister to court to try and evict her from her property while they knew she was in hospital. And if I didn't have lasting power of attorney, which was sorted out by Sister Sameena, I should say, if I never had lasting power of attorney, my sister would be on the streets right now. Yeah. With MS, bedbound on the streets. And if I didn't have that lasting power of attorney, I couldn't have advocated for my sister. And I had to literally deal with this council and try and get her rehoused and decent accommodation. If I didn't have that document, they will not contact me. They would not even speak to me. When I go to speak on behalf of her, they go, have you got lasting power of attorney? Can you send me the document? I email the documents over, then I can have that conversation. Even between husband and wife, we should have lasting power of attorney. Yeah, this is so important. I put in the chat box that event that we're doing on Wednesday, the 8th of April. This came out of some of the horror stories that we've come across in our work. And I said we need to come together and write a presentation and bring this information out there to the community, because it's so powerful. It's so important that we start sorting out affairs. It is so important. Yeah. And that's why I have to big up Courtney and the team for doing this session today, because it is so powerful that we get this information out there, and we cannot wait on others to do it either. So yeah, just like to say that.
Right. Thank you. So yeah, to the power of consent. Sister Love, go and ask a question in the chat, man.
Yes.
Some of them, some of us, Charmaine. Jay. Ask a question, Sister Love, in the chat. Okay, and anyone else ask questions, put your hand up. Yeah, lasting power of attorney. So with having a lasting power of attorney, life insurance, and a will, are we now describing items that are a part of what is called an estate? Sister Samina, Sister Charmaine, that was a question.
Yeah. You should, yes, everybody should have that in their place. It's just like you have so for example, like myself, I've got my life insurance policies, I've got my will, I've got my trust, I've got my making sure that I've got lasting power of attorney. So if I was to lose capacity or something happens to me, I have somebody that can advocate on my behalf. If I've got children, if I was no longer here or my husband weren't here, who I have picked who I want to look after my children, and my life insurance policy would then fund that person to look after my children. We can be very specific about these things. And that's why I say to people, you have access to Sameena. Sameena is amazing. Yeah. And not just because I work with her, she is amazing. And please fill out that form. I will then make the referral to Sameena, because we like to keep our paperwork and we like to have a process when we do things, so you can get in contact with her and ask questions as well, because some of them some people may not want to ask specific things on here, but we have to ask the questions. However you ask the question, and no question's a silly question.
Right.
Yeah. Please answer the question.
Sister, is it pro bono? Pro bono.
What is the meeting free? Yeah, it's free.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of terms that are used there tonight, family. I know most of the power of consent family know what these terms mean. Terms like probate, terms like pro bono, terms like litigant in person. Basically, our overall trust and structure. Family, go to the YouTube channel. I've posted up the link and go and watch the video. I've put it in smaller sizes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, so you will just get the quick understanding. And don't forget, email us at thepowerofconsent@gmail.com. We'll send you the book, The Living Trust. We now know the term living trust is more American.
Yes.
Trust, it means American. Over in England, through to reading this book, we have discovered that it's called discretionary trust, lifetime trust. Also, there's another word for it as well. Am I correct? Correct me if I'm
Yes, you are. Discretion trust, lifetime trust, and bear trust. Those are the main trusts.
bear trust.
You know,
That's
those
right.
are the
That's
main,
the one.
yeah,
Bear.
yeah,
See, there you go,
yeah.
family. See, confirmation. What we're reading, we're not giving misinformation. This
No,
is
but there's another thing as well, though, called in another thing, Charmaine will confirm. In America, you have life insurance where you can cash in your lifetime. You
Yes.
don't have that in the UK. So this
No.
is where people are thinking, oh, and you're right, that there is that system whereby people are cashing in and then they're setting up trust, they're using that to pay themselves and their families. And that's in America, that's not in the UK. Sorry, and Sister Love has got a question about what laws are changing. One thing I was quite shocked about was about the Business Property Relief Trust, which I mentioned, because that was before if you put anything into a BPR trust in death, like you want to leave a business to your family, to your children or beneficiaries, and then it was tax-free. There was no tax to be paid on that. Now they've capped it to 1 million. So if you have a business worth 1 million, then after that it would tax at 20%. Like one of my clients, they had a business of 3 million, both husband and wife, and now before that would have been tax-free, but now it's only up to 2 million. So that's interesting. And after that, the 2%, 20% after that, things like that, they're making slight little changes that we're not even realizing. And then registering a trust, but up to a certain time, there's little things that we do need to be up to date with. And that's why it's important to review your will. It's so important to review your will. And that's another thing. And also, I'm happy to have a conversation because I think it's important that the clients feel comfortable talking with me because they might not get on with me. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to speak to someone about them they're not comfortable because that's not the way I do things. And also with Sister Charmaine, we have in Islington, you have the Cultural Centre. And where you can come in and there's I do free surgery. I'm there for the day and probably do the evenings as well, maybe weekends. You can come in and chat to me face to face. And if you feel comfortable, and that's really important because we don't have anything around at the moment. And I'd rather someone comes and gets some free advice, go back, even if you don't go with me, ask the other solicitors, whoever you're going to, the right advice. Remember, I'm going to say this, I think it's really important about appointing professional executors in your will. As you all may know or may not know, do you remember that there was an article about in the banks where they appointed themselves as executors in their will?
Wow.
They can charge between 1.5, it's normally 2.5 to 10% of your estate. Let me give you a small example. 10% of 500,000 is 50,000. 5% is 25,000. And this is why you need to be checking it. And because people don't realize they're going to all these places and it looks nice and they don't realize that they're so cheap. The wills are so cheap. They don't realize the company has appointed themselves as executors in the will.
Executors last.
Yep, and that's a big problem we came across. So we had a residency at the Black Culture Centre. Every Monday we had a estate planning surgery, and the amount of shocking revelations that we found were people bringing their will, and they found out people have been companies have been writing themselves as executors in people's will. People didn't understand what that meant. That was coming out of the event. The whole reason why we wrote this webinar that we're doing on the 8th of April, because we had an elder that had the same problem, but it was another sister that said, Charmaine, what this elder is saying doesn't sound right. Can you speak to her? And this was revealed to us. And this is a big issue. So this is why we say to people, when people say to me, oh, I've got a will, I don't need to change it. We say, okay, let a trained eye look at the will. And I guarantee Sameena will see something in that will that's not right, or something that needs to be tweaked, or something needs to change. Come and speak to us.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so important that we start doing this now. Why are you alive to change it? Because a lot of times people have wills, they don't know where it is. I know I've had examples where brothers and sisters, like a mother, Like, you know, you got siblings and the mother's ill and the siblings, one particular sibling is looking after the parent. Now that parent dies. Now I've had examples where the surrounding siblings that didn't really business about the parent, didn't really talk to the parent, the sibling that was looking after the mother, had the woman arrested. So to clear it out the way to go in the house and look for the will. These are some of the horror stories that we come across. We've had grandsons manipulating grandmothers to rewrite their will and they're to be the sole beneficiaries and taking the money and gone to the southeast. Yeah, don't know where they are. These are examples of some of the horror stories we come across. But we need to start taking action. It's so vital that we need to take action. So if your parents haven't got a will, get them to write the will. And sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. If you as the child goes to your parents, Mum, have you got a will? I know some parents, if they're from certain backgrounds, they're thinking, oh, you're trying to kill me off. Why are you asking me this question? You're trying to kill me because you want to take all my things. No, we're not trying to take your things. We just want to make sure that you have got these documents in place. And this is what I say to people all the time. And that's why we wrote that presentation in April, because I had somebody that said the same thing. I've been trying to speak to my dad for 7 years, Charmaine, trying to sort out this will. Every time I bring up this question, he doesn't want to speak to me. He shuts down. I said, okay, bring him to the webinar. Let me talk about the importance of writing a will and give my examples that I give in the presentation. And I guarantee by that event, he will change his mind. So say, so done. Afterwards, she was like, yes, Charmaine. My dad saying, call Charmaine. Yes, call Charmaine. Yeah, Charmaine. Call Charmaine. Yeah, we need to write the will. Because sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. And sometimes it needs to be heard by somebody else. And sometimes it takes people to go and watch a family break apart, arguing, fighting over, as we call dead left, for them to say, you know what, I don't want to go through this. We need to get our affairs in order. But we don't need to be reactionary. We just need to be proactive and get our affairs in order. This is why this session today is so powerful. So powerful.
Can I say something as well, Charmaine? And I think this is quite important as well, that a lot of people are now, when they're going for probate, and they are putting caveats on properties. So no families are talking. They're stopping people from actually going and enjoying the property that the parents have wanted them to have. There's a lot of this going on at the moment, and the probate solicitors, they are making money.
Sorry, if I make real quick, just for the audience, the term probate, we've gone over these words. These are not words that everyone's familiar with. What does the word probate?
So probate is like after death, you have to obtain probate for someone who's passed away. Normally, it would. Sorry.
To go court, probate.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go to court. So basically, you apply for probate, and you have to submit all the documentation. Again, this is a good point, actually. So when you apply for probate, you either can get a solicitor to do the whole process, but they can take a percentage, which is expensive, or you can do the form and get it checked. It's always good not to be afraid of the law, but to use the knowledge and power to kind of get the best result. If you get someone to check it, that can potentially save you thousands of pounds. And the reason why I say that, you can write on the form and say something on the lines of, my parents' assets in their house, there was nothing really worth much in their house. House content was probably like a couple of furniture, £5,000. And on the but they would say, but how come the probate will question on the form they were asked, but your parents took out life and house contact insurance of 500,000 or £100,000. So you've made that mistake by saying, oh, it's not worth much, but on the form it shows otherwise, the evidence shows otherwise. So it's always good to get the forms checked. It doesn't necessarily have to be by a solicitor, it could be by anyone else. So probate is after death. You have to have the grant of probate so you can go go forward, and that's what the probate is. So executors normally obtain the probate. So the executor's role is to close bank accounts and distribute everything in the will, and also obtain the grant of probate, so they get ready to pass on to the trustees. So there's kind of the role of an executor is not, it's quite stressful. It's a short-lived role, it can be, but it's very, very stressful. Please be wary of this when you appoint an executors.
So you appoint the executors as a part of the board of trustees, and do they have to have any legal training or be a solicitor?
No, you don't. It's in your will. So
Right.
in your will, you appoint your executors in your will, and then the trustees manage the trust fund, which is a longer kind of over the, during their lifetime, and you pass, and that's where you pass on it. So the estate can be up to 125 years, and then the trustees will manage that trust fund.
Discretionary trust.
Yeah. Or any trust, like you could have a life property interest trust, you have a bear trust, you could have, so it could be, those are the main trusts and the discretionary trusts. But
Right.
remember, whoever you'd have as trustees, and it's in the word, isn't it? Trust. You have to trust those people because they have a lot of power.
That's right.
Sorry, yeah.
That's right. Thank you. No, we really appreciate this. And just real quick before we bring in Pauline, before we close out for the night, with the trust, what is the UK equivalent of a irrevocable? There's irrevocable. We've been speaking about revocable, discretionary. What is the UK equivalent of an irrevocable trust? One of our guests said, one of the members said last Thursday that irrevocable trusts in America have been overturned and they are no longer in use. And I'm still yet to verify that. But what is the UK term?
So, for example, irrevocable trust, like your life insurance, when you put that into a trust, that's irrevocable. You can't take that back. And you don't, and that's when once you hand it over to them, that's unless you, I don't know how you would revoke it, but that's one that people don't realize that, because once it says on the documents, once you hand it over to them, they own your life insurance policy.
So therefore, that element would be irrevocable then. It wouldn't be.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have a discretionary trust. Wow. Are we hearing this, ladies and gentlemen? Pauline, put your unmute yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead, Queen. Thank you so much, Charmaine and Samina. We really appreciate this on the behalf of everyone at the Power of Consent and everyone listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Charmaine. Oh gosh, you made a valid point to do with the probate, because I'm having issues at the moment with probate, and I've been encouraging my siblings not to go down that route. But you've said something which has given me another angle, which I didn't know that existed, which, because it's me and my sister are the executive of the will. And when you've got two people as executives, there's always a tug of war between, two different personalities. Yeah. So at the moment, this is what's happening, and I don't want to go down the solicitor's route, because Jamaica, they're going to charge us, it's going to cost at least $4,000 English money. So, you've just made another suggestion which I can put to the other siblings, which, do it as a vote of, see if they will go with that. I know my sister will fight me on it, but it's another angle to go with. That I think I would like to get in touch with you to talk to you about that. It's very, never knew that existed. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting information. Thank you.
It's an interesting point, Pauline. Thank you very much for sharing as well. One thing I want to say, a lot of people have properties overseas, or they might inherit. You can't have two wills at the same time, but you can, because people say, oh, you can't have two wills. The only time when you can have two wills is when you have it's always advisable to have a will in a different country where you have assets or bank accounts in that country, and then you can have a will for the UK assets only, or just have. It's really important. We have a lot of clients from the Caribbean, because the laws are different in the Caribbean completely them in terms of inheritance tax. Please have a will for every country that you have assets in, because they can deal with it in that country. Wow. And you can use their law, and they don't tell you this. And please, if you have passports that like if you've got parents from the Caribbean, please get your passports done, because it's important to have passports for, that's your birthright. Please have passport for the country, because at the moment they're getting rid of people applying for passports.
There you go. What have we been saying over here at the Power of Consent family about the dual citizenship, getting your passports, all of these things?
It's
That
so important because in Barbados, they've changed the rules. I didn't realize this in Barbados that if your parents are born in Barbados, you can get the passport. But if you're and you weren't born in Barbados, you can get a passport. But if your children are not born in Barbados, you can't get the passport anymore. So they are slowly getting the inheritance and getting the passport is going. So you really do need to get things organized, and that was a real shocker. And they probably do the same with Jamaica, the same with like Grenada and everywhere else. So please get passports. If you do have property out there, you must have a will in that country.
There you go. That's powerful, man. People, go and subscribe to the Path Consent YouTube channel so you can hear back some of the playback. And this is Sister Charmaine Simpson's website, Financial Savvy Sisters, how to be financially intelligent with money. Okay, sisters doing it for themselves. So okay, and then sister here also has a webinar on dying to know end of life and funeral planning. I know people, listen, I know these things are morbid. Look, I know the subject's morbid. Remember, we had a sister come in, Jasmine, who's speaking about life insurance.
Yeah.
Another sister as well. Her name is Charmaine as well. She was with us about life insurance, and then a week later, unfortunately, her brother passed away. Unfortunately, it was a fatality. And this is the thing. There's a lot. I don't know about anyone else here, but ever since the turn of this new year, I've heard too many friends I know who have gone to school with who passed away, man. This
is the time of the year.
Yep.
And even though you say that this subject is morbid, that is my number one requested webinar.
Yeah, it's a more
all the webinars I do. That end of life planning with Maxine, Sister Maxine, is the most demanded, most requested webinar that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I did that webinar, I'm a risk taker. I'm like, you know what? I know our people are very superstitious. They're not going to turn up. Over 200 people turned up to that webinar.
Wow. And
we were speaking for 4 hours. Chilly. And Maxine's absolutely amazing because it demystifies what happens when you're organizing a funeral. And that presentation just gives you all the information. And she's a Black funeral director, one of the few in this country. And she helped me organize my mother's funeral in the UK and also my grandmother's funeral in Jamaica. So I had to bring her body back to Jamaica. And even just going through that whole process, I didn't know. That was the first time I had organized a funeral. I made about 5 pages of notes. And I said to Maxine, when I finish organizing this funeral, we need to do a webinar. Because there's so many people that lose a loved one and they don't know what to do. We're giving people the information, the options and the choices, what you can do. It's so important, very important that we start thinking about these things as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So family,
because there's a lot of stress when it comes to organizing a funeral. Trust me.
Exactly. So family, go ahead and patronize the link that's in the chat. So you can go onto the sister's website. Listen, family, as Black people, especially as Black people of melanin, we start getting into these things, the trusts and life insurance. Just one last question for myself. Why is it, Sameena and Charmaine, briefly, before we close out, because it's coming up to closing time, why is it that we didn't know or weren't taught these things when we were young or in school? I mean, I think I know the answer, but just from yourselves, why weren't we taught about these things that are fiscally and economically important to us and our family and our kith and kin?
Because we were taught to be workers and not entrepreneurs. And depending on what school you go to, where you get access, depending on which school you go to, you get that information. So I went to school in Wembley. They weren't teaching you about becoming an entrepreneur, managing your money, financial education, estate planning. That wasn't taught. I was privileged to be able to go to a youth club where my youth worker, and this is why I love youth work and youth people that work with young people. He gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Cash Flow Quadrant.
Come on.
A youth worker Junior Collins, if
Right.
you're from Wembley and Brent, you know him. Junior Collins gave me that book and said, Charmaine, I know you're interested in money and finances. Read this book. This book is wicked. Read this book and I thought, aha, right. Then that took me on a long journey of reading other books, going to webinars when I'm telling my friends, come to these webinars. Oh, no, I don't want to go. It's raining. I don't want to come. I said, fine. I was born by myself. I'll go by myself. And I went to all of these webinars, got the information, and I saw how can I bring this back to the community. So we have to invest in financial education. We need to teach ourselves, get in the books, invest in the books, going to these webinars, spending money to go to these webinars. And when you go to these webinars, don't feel away because you may be the only one there. There's many webinars I go to and I'm the only person there. And they're looking at me like, why are you here? And I'm looking at them like, why are you even looking at me? I'm not even watching you. I'm going there to get the information.
Yes.
So sometimes we have to invest in our personal development.
All the time.
And that means leaving your house. That means spending money on webinars and books. Yeah, I'm surrounded by books at the moment and paperwork because I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to I don't want to retire in this country. Yeah, I don't want to be in poverty. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to learn about money management and think about how I can make more money, save more money. I love showing people how to make money.
Yeah.
I love showing families how to make money.
Come on.
Money's out there if you're willing to go and look for it. I make money sitting in my house, in my slippers and my tracks and my pajama bottoms. You can do that. There's many ways of making money that you can then use in other areas towards your goals and dreams. But are you willing to do the work?
Right.
A lot of people are not willing to do the work. Sometimes when the information is free, they're not even willing to come on a webinar. And they don't even have to leave their house.
There you go.
And then we're complaining about if they haven't got no money. And you say to them, do this, do this. They're like, oh, you know what? It's long, No, okay, fine. Because you didn't want it.
Yes. For real.
So, and you know that saying, if you want good, your nose have to run. Yeah. So you have to dedicate yourself to learning. Pick up a book, go to a webinar, speak to people, be in the right environment. Be in an environment of leaders and winners. Be in environments where you've got millionaires that you can speak to, people that have made more money than you. I've got some mentors that are millionaires at the moment. I speak to them all the time because I want to go down that route. And it's not because I'm a money hungry black capitalist, as some people call me. No, I just want to be able to generate income, then I can bless other people. Yeah, bless family and bless other people. Because if you've got more resources, you can do more. Yeah, so don't look at billionaires with scorn. They've got the resources because they worked hard for it. Yeah, most especially black millionaires, they've got it. What could you do with that money? Yeah, because that's what we got to do. We were talking about reparations earlier. Okay, so remember, reparations, money is only one aspect of reparations. If this government decided to give each of us in this country £100,000, what would we actually do with it? How fast would that go back to the European people? Think about it. Yeah, what would we actually do with that money? These are the questions we have to really ask ourselves.
There you go.
Because we ask for it, when we get it, what are we doing with it?
Yeah, exactly. But sisters, we got to wrap up real quick now, and I want to say thank you so much. We had the opportunity to ask questions. They've been putting it in the chat. I guess we have to go ahead and contact you with the website on the chat. Sister Sameena, thank you so much. Also,
thank you.
Your expertise and your advice is priceless tonight. People, please come back to the Power of Consent next Thursday. As Sister Charmaine said, we need to surround ourselves with like-minded people. One of the books that we are looking at reading is A Millionaire Mindset. After we get done, we're living in the Living Trust book. You see, reading, man, reading. I'm not the biggest reader, but I use this time Thursday to read and to gather up information and recharge and refuel myself. Knowledge today is power because most people are ignorant today, and ignorance is a big enemy, family. So I want to say, everyone in the room, please go ahead and get the link on the chat of Sister Charmaine, Sister Samina. They work together, so once you got one, you got the other. Yeah, so don't fear, don't fear, don't fear. So family, that's been our guest for the book club session. Don't go. I got one more thing I want to just show you, just to back up what the sisters have been saying and what we've been reading and studying at the power of consent on Thursdays. Check this out.
So our father passed away, and now my siblings is fighting over the insurance policy and things of that nature, right? So let me break it down to you. One, my father has 5 kids. I am the youngest of 5, and I had no clue he had me down as his beneficiary, right? Because it's my first time dealing with something like this. So in his will, he made sure that I was in charge of the trust, so I can't just give money out, right? Even for myself. So with this being said, my siblings is fighting over them being able to spend the money in the trust on their personal, things they have going on. But it clearly states anybody unmarried or unwed cannot get no money. It clearly states if you are unmarried, no husband, no wife, the money goes to the kids. The kids have to be jail-free, drug-free.
All right, I tell you what, listen, family, if you want to join the Power of Consent group, the WhatsApp group, then come in and join the group. I'm going to I wanted to do a quick quiz. and Charmaine and Sister Sameena can join in. Everyone ready for a quick quiz before we just close out real quick? Because this, you know what, repetition is learning. I will send that video is in our WhatsApp group, and he goes into what he wrote in his will. You see? This stuff is real, man. Anyway, let's just do this real quick. All right, this is the book we've been reading, and we will continue next Thursday. It will be our last Thursday that we'll go into this book. Then we're going to go into the millionaire mindset. So stay tuned into the Power of Consent. But anyway, repetition is learning. Let's do this. Okay. Let's begin the quiz. All right. Yeah. Okay. Question one. Select the correct statement. A probate operates publicly through the courts and trust exists in the private. B. Probate operates publicly through the Crown Courts and trusts operate in the public. C. Probate exists in private trust, exists in the public through courts. D. Probate and trust operates both publicly and privately. Which one is it, family, real quick? Which one is it? Some say A. Press it 5. Okay, no, oh God, I can't listen to Adrian, man. No, sir. No, sir. Adrian, you just took me out of the thing, man, with telling me to press F5. Bruv, damn it. Ah, jeez, Adrian, man, why are you telling me to press the thing and it don't work, bruv? Sorry, family. Oh, jeez. Ah, man. Okay, 1 second, everyone. 1 second. Adrian, I'm not listening to your advice, brother. You just let me come out the whole thing, man. Oh, Lord. No, sir, no, sir, no, sir. Let me get it back to the screen. Good Lord. All right, I really don't like that. All right, bear with me, people. I'm pressing none of that nonsense again. All right, here we go. All right, let's start that again. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so which one do you think it is? Which one is it? Let's look at it again as it loads. Is it A, B, C, or D? I thought I saw people saying A, and I saw a couple saying B. Let's see what it is. I'm pressing no F5. The answer is A. Question 2. A living trust is a legal agreement placing assets under the management of a trust. Is that true? Is that A, B, or C? A living trust, discretionary, is a legal agreement placing assets under the management of the trust. Is it A, B, or C? You have to email thepowerofconsent@gmail.com. If you want to join the group, that's thepowerofconsent@gmail.com. Which one is it? Some people say CCC, trustee, or A. I see C and A. C and A. Remember that store, C and A? A living trust is a legal agreement placing assets under the management of grantor, trustee, or beneficiary. Let's have a look. A, B, or C is in fact C. Correct. We're all learning. It's a trustee. Okay, let's go back. Something's going on. Oh, God. Anyway, let's read it anyway. Janky. Question 3, the revocable living trust lets you, the trust maker, maintain control over the assets within the trust during their lifetime. A revocable living trust lets you, the trust maker, maintain control over the assets within the trust during their lifetime. Is it A or B? True or false? It's true. Yes. A revocable living trust lets you, the trust maker, maintain control over the assets within the trust during their lifetime. It is true. That's revocable. Another word for revocable is discretionary or bare trust or lifetime trust. Let's go. Question 4. Define what an estate is. It is property estate placed into a trust which can be done during one's lifetime or via will be. It's property of the estate placed into the eternal into a trust maker's which can be done during one's trust maker's lifetime or placed in the will. C, is it the property or estate placed into trust which can be done after one's lifetime or will? Which one is it? A, B, or C? I'm looking. Oh, Sameena, you're giving it away, man. Sameena, I shouldn't have let you get involved in this one because you know no one don't look at Sameena's answers, okay? It'll be cheating. All right, see. Okay, we all said A. Some say B. Let's have a look. I always say, I was gonna say Sameena got it wrong. I'm like, So that is the answer to that. Question 5, trustees are legally obligated to manage this estate for the beneficiaries. Trustees are legally obligated to manage this estate for the beneficiaries. A, definitely not. B, definitely yes. Sameena, that answer. C, only if selected to. Is it A, B, or C? Trustees are legally obligated to manage this estate for the beneficiaries. A, B, or C? Okay, there's a blank screen. The answer is B. The answer is B. Some said C, you know. Some said C. Only if selected to. The answer is B. Trustees are legally obligated to manage this estate for the beneficiaries. The answer is B. All right. So, thank you for joining us on our quiz night, the Power of Consent community. And let me just show you something else real quick. An article posted up regarding the subject matter at hand. Regarding the subject matter at hand, before you go, real quick. Just gone over time a little bit, but just want to show you how important it is to have a will, lasting power of attorney, and a trust. A will, lasting power of attorney, and a trust. This dude, this aristocrat, this Philistine, in high court, battle with ex-wife of 1.2 million trust. Now, I don't know if Sameena, if you're still here, real quick and briefly, if a man or woman has this amount of money in their account or whatever in their trust, can the ex get the money? Can the ex get the money? If it's in a trust, can your ex-wife or husband get it? So Benjamin, huh?
Yes, so if it's in a trust, depends when the trust was set up. Some people, when they're going for a divorce, they get it set up like a week before or it's too late. So it depends when the trust is set up. But normally, if the trusts are there to protect against bankruptcy and divorce proceedings.
So if the trust is set up,
It depends when the trust is set up. So if it's set up, way before, and it's like your parents have set it up, or so before the divorce proceedings, they can't access it because the whole point of having a trust is to protect against bankruptcy and divorce proceedings.
So if you have one before you're married and all that stuff, then
it's like you get clients that ring up and say, I want to divorce my wife next week, I need to set up a trust. And it depends what type of trust you're talking about. If your parents have set up a trust and then they can't, so if you get divorced, then they can't go for your inheritance because it's in a trust. Your parents gave it to you in a trust, so they can't touch it.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's what, think about the royal family. The royal family have trust. Lady Diana had a trust.
Yes.
And we know that her children, Harry will never starve, but his children, if they're not his children, they will never get their money, nor will his spouse, because that's what normally happens. And Lady Diana, we know that because what the royal family do, they don't give to the beneficiaries, they tend to give to the children. They miss a generation because they can do so.
Look at that, family. Look at that. I did say earlier that about the royal family. Yeah, they have a trust, and that's how they. And also, Samina, you can put property and land in trust as well. Is that right? If you've got
Yeah,
land,
whatever you like a will trust, whatever you own at the time of death will go into that trust. And remember, it's quite you don't have to have, you can have several trusts. I've got clients that have 2 or 3 trusts. So
okay.
that's another thing as well.
So you can have a revocable and an irrevocable one at the same time.
You can have lifetime, and you can have lifetime trust, and you can have a will trust as well.
Look at that. Look at that. Look. So I remember Dion asked that question last week. And can you be beneficiary and trustee at the same time?
Yes, you can. You just cannot. You cannot. If you are a witness, you cannot sign it. If you witness a will, you cannot be a beneficiary.
Right. So if you're that wasn't our question yet in our quiz last week, funny enough, last Thursday.
Yeah, because when you think about it, executors can be a spouse as well.
Wow. So if there's a spouse,
yeah, so they're going to benefit from the will, their spouse and executor, the trustees, executors, and beneficiaries. You just cannot, if you're going to benefit from the will, you do not sign the will.
Wow.
That's the only thing.
That's so important. And family, look at this. We verified it. Look, our 15 billion portfolio includes rural land, the seabed, and urban centers. That's the Crown Estate. That Crown Estate, they're the same ones that the Privy Council answer to in the Caribbean. The Crown Estate, the Crown Corporation is the very thing you see when you go to the City of London. And we teach over here that the City of London is a total different jurisdiction, people. In fact, the Bar Guild Association is based where? The City of London. Man, do we know where we are for those of us that live in London? Speaking of that, we're going to be doing tours as well this year. Tours, live tours, where we go out to different museums, different places, where you can see live and in living color the truth of that which you've been taught tonight. That includes visiting lawyers, solicitors, chambers, the Royal Courts of Justice. Yes, the Freemasonic Temple. Don't worry, no duppy's going to follow you home. It's just a museum. Calm down, calm down. You can bring your holy water and your crucifix with you. I've been visiting that museum for years, and there's so much you can learn. The Freemasons have a trust as well. Look, Sister Charmaine was saying about being of wealthy mindset. We need to learn from these people. Stop with this old wives' tales of everyone's a devil worshipper because they're involved in money and fiscal opportunities. We've got to break that old spell and that old mindset. Just like Simba, break it and reconnect with their ancestors who are in fact wealthy and rich and still live inside of you. So just remember that, family. It's about changing our minds, and we can only change our minds through reading. Through reading, family. And this is why we started this weekly, strongly we call it, book club here at the Power of Consent. Go ahead, follow, like, and subscribe to the Power of
Tickets
Consent.
available at Eventbrite.
Go
See the link in
and
the bio.
subscribe.
Or alternatively, you could email us.
Yes, that's right.
My
Beautiful voice.
gmail.com.
There you go.
The Power of Consent.
So go
at
ahead and
gmail.com.
subscribe to us.
Tickets
Got
available
the link
at
in the chat.
Eventbrite.
We
Or
will
see
be
the
back
link
next
in the
Thursday.
bio. Or alternatively,
Yes.
you could email us
Yes.
at Power of Consent
Power of Consent is
at
chatting.
gmail.com.
Go ahead and
The
subscribe to
Power of
us.
Consent
Don't forget
at
our
gmail.com.
email.
Tickets
I
available.
up in eyes now. Yeah. Don't forget our email is the power of consent at gmail.com. We don't forget the Power of Consent presents How to Beat Council Tax as well. And as Sameena and Sister Charmaine was saying, and as it says in his books, you can put your property in trust. Go to the land registry, do all these things. You can do that. Trust me when I say. So, family, go ahead and look at the chat. Go ahead and link up with Sister Charmaine and Sister Samina. They are giving free advice pro bono. That's legalese for, in other words, for free. Pro bono. Yeah? Not quid pro quo. Who knows what the word quid pro quo means? We're going to do a legalese session soon. There's quid pro quo and there's pro bono. Go and look that up. And if you want a copy of the book of Living Trust, again, email us at the Power of Consent at gmail.com.
Tickets available at Eventbrite or see the link in the bio, or alternatively.
Okay. Yes. So thank you so much. Sister Samia, big up yourself.
Tickets available at Eventbrite.
Charmaine, big up yourself. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Thank you for that information. We appreciate you. See you all next Thursday. Don't forget, email us at thepowerofconsent@gmail.com to join our book club, to get regular posts, to join our webinars, to join on to the WhatsApp. Thank you so much. Peace.
Tickets available at Eventbrite or see. Tickets available at Eventbrite or see.
Right in it.
The power of consent. The power of consent. The power of consent.
Tickets available at Eventbrite or see the link in the bio, or alternatively, you can email us at thepowerofconsent@gmail.com. thepowerofconsent@gmail.com. Tickets available at Eventbrite or see the link in the bio, or alternatively, you can email us at thepowerofconsent@gmail.com.
The power of
consent@gmail.com. Tickets available at Eventbrite or see the link in the bio.
The power of consent.
That's everyone in the room.